So we operate in a dual existence of what is physical and what is not physical. In engineering drawing, for instance, if we make a product or something which is designed as a part, it has an area to it, and we create that area by simply doing this. Okay? And that shows us what the part is, and everything else isn't. So we denote physicality by just simply filling it in. So when it comes to defining what is physical and what isn't, I'm going to just simply create a dividing line here. And here, using this universal scripture of automatically telling us that this is physical and this is everything else, or this is what I want to draw your attention to, and this is not necessarily what I want to draw your attention to. However, as existence is for us, we have to be in both worlds. So we have to be a part of what is not physical as well as what is physical. And this dividing line is quite crucial. It's the place where physicality can enter non-physical, and where the non-physical world can enter into the physical world. So the question is where do we get our information from? Well, we actually get our information from both. We live in that duality. So for instance, this dividing line creates the place where the non-physical comes into the physical. We can call that a place where we get our ideas or we get our inspiration. But what happens in that process is what hasn't been here on earth before comes into our existence. In that process, we have an exchange, and that exchange is an exchange and growth of consciousness. This line is called many things. It's called, on an atomic level, a point of which the atom's created. On an esoteric level, it's referred often as the astral plane. So it's where things are becoming physical. In our mind and in our understanding, we can gain a physical insight. In other words, what is not physical has entered a point. It's entered a place where it shows, it reveals itself. We do this, of course, with dreams, where we're in a non-real world to us, but it seems real. So this is where information from the non-physical comes in and bleeds into our physical reality. Now, making this jump is what happens when we use our third eye. It's what happens when we open up that link between the pineal, pituitary and the hypothalamus glands. And they create a triangle, a pyramid. That dividing line gives us an opportunity when we use this equipment in our head to see into the non-physical. And by doing that, we pull in the new. Now, to live in this duality and to take this process into your life as a natural pursuit, one of the things that happens is it needs grounding in both sides. I'll explain that as best I can, because we know what grounding is, we know what the modern language for grounding yourself, fixing yourself, being in your body, all these things describe how we attach ourselves to the physical plane and be here in the here and now. Now, this is in modern language now. I don't need to explain this. This is everyday words for what people feel they need to do to center themselves, and they ground themselves in that process. Now, we do that in the physical world, but we also do that in the non-physical world. In other words, when we pull something in from the non-physical and we create it into something, it takes time, but what it does, it physicalizes itself here. We've got endless examples of this. I'm talking to you on a computer. Now, that started out here, and in that process it's physicalized itself here, and now it's a piece of equipment we can use that opens up all kinds of things. Now, in that process, you ground your idea, your new, you ground it into, and it takes on physicality, it takes on form. We give it energy, we give it substance, we give it material, and it becomes a functioning thing for us. We ground it. Now, that also needs to be grounded here, or should I say, the process of us grounding something from the non-physical into the physical needs to be grounded here, and also here in the non-physical. In other words, our adjustment to that new thing that we have created on the physical plane, that is here now, that has consequence. Because that has consequence, that also feeds back into the non-physical. And the way we ground ourselves in creating the new in the physical is we also need to ground ourselves in the non-physical. Now, I'll explain more of that in the next video when I talk about the function of the throat chakra and how that works in grounding ourselves in a spiritual way or in the non-physical. And yes, we do have to ground ourselves in the non-physical as well as the physical.